Namaste, Arjun.
Namaste, Praveen.
I mean, you have asked me to call you Arjun,
Absolutely.
but in terms of the knowledge and the wisdom that you have, you're way above, and you're Arjun Mahodaya for me.
Oh my goodness. Namaste, Praveen Mahodaya.
No.
Mahabhaga, if I may say.
No, not at all. So thank you once again to come to Prana Stories and doing this once again with us. You have been like one of the pioneer guests that I have had in Prana Stories who have gotten interest from the audience about, oh, okay, this is a serious channel doing serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for doing it, and welcome back once again to Prana Stories.
Thanks a lot. My pleasure being on your show.
So why are we here today? Because you have written a beautiful book called The Essential Ramayana. You have already written many books. The Essential Mahabharata, I have already read that. And Essential Ramayana, I'm still reading it. So we are talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very pertinent question and a very relevant question which I have. I see the world around today. It's a very woke world, right? I can even call it, because Ramayana is about human relationships, right? And today's relationships are at a very precarious kind of situations. I mean, when I see around so many people, so individualism is growing high.
Absolutely.
Right? Individualism, extreme wokeism is going high.
Sure.
I don't know how to even talk to people, because the way they might take it,
How
and
you address them and what you speak to them.
Yeah, it's
Very
it's
tricky.
so very tricky. So in that background, if I tell Ramayana to someone, they will say buzz off, right? Because Ramayana is about values, right? It's a value-based story. It's about human relationship. It's about a family where the lead is Lord Shri Rama. So many things have happens in Ramayana in terms of these relationships, right?
Right.
In today's world, if you think about this, if somebody with a large property, a big father, big businessman, and he has got like 3 sons, and then he says, okay, big son, you have to go away from this. I won't give you any of this. You have to walk away. I don't know, maybe not to the forest, but just out of the family.
Right.
And you have to go for 14 years. First of all, in today's world, the wife will ask, why should I come with you? It's a deal between you. It's a deal between you and your father, right? I didn't sign up for this.
Right.
That's what she will say. The brother also will say, bro, I can't do this with you, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I love you, but it's not like I love you to so much that it becomes a very toxic relationship, right? So this toxicity I can't take.
Right.
So you go ahead. I'll be with you all the time, but I will take care. I'll be with father and I'll be doing this.
Right.
This is what probably Lakshmana will say.
Right.
Even if, let's say, something like Sita goes with Rama in today's woke Ramayana, and then she gets kidnapped, and somebody kidnaps her and all that, and Rama fights back. She will obviously encourage the fight back, and then when Rama asks Sita to prove her chastity, she will say, buzz off again. You prove your chastity.
Right.
The woke Sita will say, you prove your chastity, then I will prove.
Right.
That's what will happen today. I mean, it may sound as a joke, but in today's system, this is what will happen. And somebody like a Bharata who kept Rama's sandals on the throne and ruled the kingdom living in an ashram, that will definitely not happen. And today Sita, she will not join Rama. She will be probably doing a collab reel with Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi, and Rama will be seeing it somewhere. This is what probably will happen.
Right.
So, and you wrote the Essential Ramayana today.
Which also means that the Ramayana is essential for today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why is it essential for today's audience? And this is the audience that you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that.
Namaste. Okay. Absolutely. Very relevant set of questions, Praveenji. And it is very essential to answer them today for this day as well. In fact, right at the beginning of the Ramayana, Chaturmukha Brahma, the four-faced Brahma, who is believed to have created the entire world, the entire universe, he declares and he promises the sage Valmiki the following. Yavat stasyanti girayah saritascha mahitale tavad Ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishyati. He's trying to say that as long as the mountains exist, as long as the rivers flow on earth, so long will the Ramayana remain relevant, and it will remain cherished, and it will remain valuable to people. So that is the promise that the Creator has made. See, look at the statement there. He's trying to say that as long as my creation exists, your creation, your poetic creation will exist, and it will not lose its relevance. So that is the promise that he has made. And you have almost put me in a position where I'll have to defend this statement and kind of answer how the Ramayana will be perceived today. And how do we answer it from the background of the wokeism, etc., where people think that they have woken up to certain things. Yeah. Have they really woken up to the actual spiritual realities of life? So that is what we'll have to try looking at, I think.
Yeah.
See, here, throughout the Ramayana, one very important concept is the honesty of emotion, of an emotion. Are you in love with the person or his external attributes? So that is what is kind of very fundamental to look at, right? See, woke-like characters can be, in a sense, seen in Ramayana in some senses. See, for example, Kaikeyi herself has some of these so-called woke qualities, if I may put it that way. Like you said, she does not have a bigger vision at all. She just cares about what position she gets and what respect she gains in the kingdom and in her family, etc. So absolutely no bigger perspective. That being self-centered and what she can get back from her husband. Right? So that is what she is trying to demand there. See, this is what happens in our own families as well. Sometimes there might be a very happy event, a very happy festival, or a happy marriage, or an Upanayinam, or something which is happening. Some person in the family might want to create trouble and disrupt the entire order of that festival or that celebration, etc. See, that kind of characteristic we find in Kaikeyi. See, initially, from the Ramayana, like you might know very well, when Mantra comes and tells Kaikeyi that Rama is going to get coronated tomorrow, Kaikeyi is very happy initially. But then Mantra's bad counsel easily changes her mind and her perspective towards the entire event, right? So if you're so gullible and you can get so influenced by the external world, that shows that you're not standing your values and you're not standing your emotions, and you're exploiting the happy moments, or in another sense, the weak moments of your own husband for your own personal benefit. So that is what Kaikeyi did, right? And Sita, on the other hand, she loved Rama for the person he was, not because of the external attributes that he possessed. Tomorrow, whether he is going to be the crown prince of a huge kingdom which has come down from Surya, Manu, and there have been glorious kings, etc. She did not care about the external attributes of that particular person. She loved him for what he was, and she wanted to spend time with him. Right? And Rama also wanted to spend time with Sita. Although he was concerned that Sita will not be physically comfortable when she is in the forest, he eventually understood that Sita will be emotionally comfortable when she follows him to the forest. So that is how he agrees to take Sita with him. See, today in any marriage or any kind of relationship, whether the boy is engaging with a girl or the girl looking for bridegrooms, so what is the salary of the person? What kind of a house has he got? Is he living in the city? Has he got a US visa? Or has he got a green card? These kinds of external attributes of the person are usually questioned. Not the personality or the character of that particular that particular person. So what I get in return is what every individual is thinking today. So that is absolutely being selfish and self-centered, right? So that is very fundamental to wokeism, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And also see, the Ramayana is also trying to indicate that even if you're very dharmic, even if you are not, even if you don't mean bad to the world, just because of your existence and just because of your association with the family and the world itself can throw problems at you. Right? See, that is what, there's a very beautiful Ekashloki Ramayana, we may call it. In one shloka, the essence of the Ramayana is captured very beautifully. It's by a 12th century poet called Kshemendra. Bogharhe nava yavvanepi vipine chirambaro ragavaha tatrapyasya parena daraharanam kleshas tadanveshane sampraptapi janapavadarajasa tyakta punarjanaki sarvam dukkhamidam tadastu bhavatam shlagyo viveko dayah. So what is it trying to say? Bogharhe nava yavvanepi. Rama and Sita were in the prime of their youth. See, it's in the youthful years that we can do the best. We can gather the best from the world and we can give the best to the world. So the youthful years are where our body and mind, our intellect are all of them in the best shape. See, in our childhood, we are still in the learning phase and we are yet to attain that intellectual and emotional, physical maturity maybe. And once we grow older, our physical strengths and mental strengths, they of course come down. So in fact, another Subhashita says, Tadeva Jiva Sarvasvam Yavvanam Yad Viveki Chet. Jiva Sarvasvam. So Yavana, that youthful state, is the Jiva Sarvasva. That is the essence of life. Yad Viveki Chet. If you are wise. See, just look at this. All the bad habits also develop in these youthful years. Whatever be the bad habits. Right? In your younger days, in your childhood days, you won't have any of them. In your older days, if you have cultivated bad qualities in your youthful days, they'll continue, or you might even give up, right? This is the period which is very crucial, and only if you're wise, that is Sat and Asat, Sadasat Viveka, Dharma and Adharma Viveka, you can do the best for your own self and to the world. So, Bogharhe, all the best kind of pleasures can be enjoyed in this period. Nava Yavanipi, he had just stepped into a marriage and he had stepped into his Yavana, his youth. Vipine Chirambaro Ragavaha. He had to spend his life in the forest, wearing only barks of trees, no comfortable clothing, no proper residence to live. Right? So, this is trying to indicate that even though there might be no fault of yours, driven by his family circumstances, you might be cornered to certain instances or certain circumstances.
Yeah.
Right? See, this is exactly what Kausalya says. When Rama is going away to the forest, Dasharatha, if you're making such a move, or if Dasharatha is keeping up his promise to Kaikeyi in this manner, people will lose trust on Dharma and Satya. Why do you happy to be dharmic and honest if after all you're going to end up in the forest and going to suffer? Yeah. So what is the value of being dharmic and honest, right? Yeah. But then, not giving up your values even when you are cornered by circumstances, that is what Rama shows. Right? And Tatrapyasya Parena Daraharanam. For 13 years, they lived very happily in the forest. But towards the last year, somebody else came and cheated, deceived Sita and abducted her. See, that circumstance is also very, very crucial. It's a very famous episode. But look at the mindset of the people there. What I'm trying to show here is, even when they're in very difficult circumstances, they don't give up their spiritual values. So this is what the woke world will have to realize. See, just look at Sita's mindset when Ravana comes to her in the disguise of a sannyasi. What had happened? She had just spotted a golden deer and she wanted to possess it. That was probably the first desire that she had expressed to Rama. Rama says that he'll go and get it, but Lakshmana warns him that it is probably a fake one and it is probably the Rakshasa Maricha who has come in the disguise, etc. But Rama says, okay, well, if it's a Rakshasa, good that I'll kill a Rakshasa. If it's not a Rakshasa, that is also good. I can get the deer for Sita. Right? So Rama goes hunting for the deer. He shoots an arrow at the deer, and the deer calls out Lakshmana and Sita's name. Back in the hermitage, back in the ashrama, Lakshmana and Sita are together. And Sita, for a moment, believes that her husband is in mortal danger. She almost thinks this person whom she loved so much is in mortal danger. And she asks Lakshmana to go and look for him, save him. Right? And Lakshmana tries to convince Sita that no, that is not Rama's voice for sure. It's definitely a Rakshasa calling out. There is some deception here. There is some treachery here, etc. Sita admonishes him using very bad language. She starts suspecting his intentions. See, Valmiki, when he tries to show adherence to spiritual values, deep values, he's not ignorant about how all human beings are emotionally driven.
Yeah.
So when we are in the dire circumstances, when we are in very crux of circumstances, when you think that your husband is dying and your brother-in-law is not responding to your request, spontaneously you start accusing him, or you start suspecting his real intentions. She says that Bharata wanted the kingdom and you want me. Probably. Right? And Lakshmana is very aghast and he goes and looks for Rama. Okay, so this is the circumstance. Just think of Sita's mind.
Yeah.
At one end, she thinks that her husband is almost dying or dead or in mortal danger. And on the other hand, she has scolded her very faithful brother-in-law. And in this circumstance, when a sannyasi comes to her doorstep, Sita still does her duty as a gruhini, as a pativrata, as somebody who takes care of the household. That gruhastha dharma, even when you are in dire emotional and physical circumstances, you still do your duty towards the world, towards what the world has got to offer. So this sense of duty, what you can give to the world, the woke scenario, the woke people, they don't look at it, right? What can we gain? What is our right? See, that is what they are looking at. That nature we find in Kaikeyi. That we find in Ravana also. It is my right to possess everything on earth. So that is what was in Ravana's mind. He had hijacked the entire city of Lanka. He had hijacked the Pushpaka Vimana. He had raped numerous women. And people say that he's a very great devotee of Shiva. Right? How do you show devotion? You go and lift the Kailasa mountain. That's the popular narrative. Other narratives say that another mountain he lifted where Shiva was residing. And you shake your Lord's mountain. So that is how you show your devotion. And his own Vahana, Nandikeshwara, you call him a monkey. See, that these are the stories that we find in the Uttarakanda. So is this real devotion? Or is it show off your own strength? So Ravana thought that he could capture everything and he has the right of possession of everything. The first failure was in the case of Sita. Right? Sita refused to adhere or to succumb to any of his advances. Coming back to that circumstance, see, Ravana also exploits the dharmic nature of Sita. See, if Ravana had come in a disguise other than of sannyasi, maybe Sita would not have reacted so spontaneously. But the Dharmashastras have said that who is a sannyasi after all? Samyak Atmani Nyastaha. A person who is always thinking about that Atma Tattva, that Sachidananda Tattva. So he is absolutely not after materialistic desires. So that is what Sita would have thought. So who would have imagined that a materialistic person would come in a spiritual disguise to abduct her? So this is the misuse of that spiritual ashrama, of that sannyas ashrama, which Ravana did for his own position.
That probably in your book that is written, that's probably the world's first deception of a spiritual person, a material person using
a spiritual guise to deceive people. There are certain such semblances in the earlier Vedas also, and we also hear the story of Vatapi and Ilvala, where a certain similar situation had happened, but this in a very large scale for the first time. That is what had happened. So here, sticking to the duties towards the world. So that is what we see in Sita. Even when her own family is breaking apart, it almost looks like she has been so nasty with her brother-in-law, and she thinks that she has almost lost her husband. Still, she is doing her duty towards the world. So this sense of responsibility, the responsibility, Uttaradayitva, what are we giving to the world? So that is absolutely not there in the woke generation. What can I get from the world? again, it's very much in the material plane,
Yeah.
getting from the material world.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So let me just complete
Sure,
the
sure.
Sekashloki Ramayana. Right. So there, Ravana coming in disguise and abducting Sita, Sita refusing him. That was the first psychological defeat of Ravana, I would say. In a sense, Ravana was defeated both by Rama and Sita. Sita defeated him psychologically, and Rama had to just remove his physical body. Ravana's physical body had to be removed by Rama, right? Yeah, tatrapya parena darahanam kleshas tadanveshane sampraptapi janapavada rajasa tyakta punarjanaki. Even when she was gotten back, the people of Ayodhya suspected her character. We'll come to that later on, maybe.
Namaste. I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. You know, as a society, as a civilization, Bharat, our self-worth and self-confidence has been always at an extremely low level. And there are multiple reasons for it. As I have understood, it's because of the external invasions that we had. The colonialism was a major factor because of the way our minds were captured, because of the content that we were given, the stupid political narratives that swayed our minds. That became the most critical reason for our minds to be captured. So hence, we don't believe our own stories. We question them. We question Ramayana. We question Mahabharata. We question our scriptures. But at the same time, if there is a show that comes on Netflix or Amazon or wherever, be it GOT or WOT or Harry Potter, we just read all their books, 3 or 4 volumes or 5 or 6 volumes, we read all of them. But the Ramayana, no, we can't read because there is no self-worth of self-confidence. We don't respect our own things that we have here. The oldest epic in the world, Ramayana, we don't respect that. That's why the questions asked to Arjun sir, that we live in that kind of a world today. There is no trust. Where does that begin? The trust begins within us. We have to trust ourselves. We have to have that self-worth and self-confidence. It's an ocean of knowledge. You just have to seek. Obviously, you'll need some help. You will need some guidance there. There is also a factor of personal transformation, which is building your own self-worth and self-confidence. And I would recommend Anusha's Academy of Alchemy to take baby steps towards that. This is an offering that she has on our website to build your own self-worth and self-confidence. By going through that course, you will at least start thinking towards that area. Lot of distractions that we have today. You will need a morning and an evening routine to at least follow a certain lifestyle. She has an offering working towards that to build a morning and a night routine. Even reading a book is a routine. You can start with that. Even if you want to read Ramayana, you can start with Arjun sir's book. It's the essential Ramayana written in English for a contemporary audience like us. Even that is a routine. 1 page a day, 2 pages a day, that's a routine. But how do you build that? You need to build a discipline. All these resources are right there in front of us. We just have to open our eyes and look at them. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the podcast. Please don't forget to check the links below of Anusha's Academy of Alchemy and also a link to Arjun sir's book and other details in the description. Thank you for supporting so far. Please do like, comment and share so that this kind of wisdom reaches a lot of people. If you are new here, please do subscribe to Prana Stories and do let your friends know about it. Thank you. Namaste.
So we see that in the beginning, it was Rama's family who caused him problems. Then we see that it was an external person who caused him problems. And then we see that it's his own people who caused him problems. Even though you're dharmic, you and your wife and your entire family may be dharmic, but the world may not trust you. These are the kinds of circumstances that any human can be subject to. So that is what the Ramayana is trying to tell us. Sarvam dukkhamayam tadastu bhavatam shlagyo vivekodaya. So world will throw sorrows at you. It will throw troubles at you, but it is in your hands to maintain the balance of your mind, the tranquility of your mind. Stitadir muni ruchyate, it is said. Vita raga bhaya krodha stitadir muni ruchyate. A person who has overcome passions, anger, and excessive desires, and a person who has got that balance of mind, he is called a muni. And in the real sense, Rama is the best example of a muni. Right? Although he was banished from his own kingdom, everybody in the world welcomed him with open arms. Right? Be it Guha, he was the king of the wilderness, or he was the king of the Nishadas. So he welcomed him. A sage like Bharadwaja welcomed him. And Sutikshna, Agastya, all these sages, Atri and Anasuya welcomed him. A bird like Jatayu cooperated with him. A bird like Sampati cooperated with him. Sampati also says, although I'm not able to fly, with my eyesight and with my mind, I'll help you, Rama. Right? So sometimes even when your family might suspect you, there is an entire world, the entire world might cooperate with you. Vanaras came to his support. A Rakshasa like Vibhishana came to his support. And his own wife stood as a very great sense of support. His own brother stood as a very great moral support to Rama. Right? So again and again, there are so many different layers of emotions and meanings and values that an epic like Ramayana can communicate. And that is why the relevance of these epics. Several times we ourselves would be in certain similar situations, and the epic kind of gives us the strength to bear with such circumstances. And now coming back to these property disputes, and Sita and Kaikeyi probably making a reel and all that. In fact, that opportunity, that option was given to Sita in a different way. Vasishtha says in the Kupuswami Shastri edition of the Ramayana, which is not the critical text, but one of the southern recensions of the Ramayana, Vasishtha Maharshi says, Nagantavyam vanam devya Sitaya Sheelavarjite Anushtasyati Ramasya Sita Prakrutamasanam. So that is the great utterance of sage Vasishtha, the Purohita, the Kulo Purohita of Rama. He's calling Kaikeyi as Sheela Varjite, you characterless lady, Nagantavyam Vanam Devya. Just because Rama goes to the forest, it does not necessarily mean that Sita also has to go to the forest. Nagantavyam Vanam Devya Sitaya Sheela Varjite Anushtasyati Ramasya Sita Prakrutamasanam. Sita will rule the kingdom as the king and the queen. So if Sita wanted, that option was there for Sita. It is a position of great responsibility and also for possibility of great physical comfort. But then she found the best kind of comfort in the company of Rama. Right? So this complete acceptance of another person, whatever he is, wherever he is, I love the person for what he is. So that is something which is missing in the relationships here in the woke scenario, I would think. It reflects in several different ways. See, if I may put it that way, Dasharatha is slightly more woke than Rama and Sita. I say this because right in the early part of the Ayodhya Kanda itself, which is the second book of the Ramayana, we see that Kaikeyi, to get her demands fulfilled, what was her demand? What was her original intent? She wanted to have that position of respect of Rajamata. So she wants a position. She does not care about the future of the kingdom, what the people want, what her husband wants. So she does not care about it. She wants that position of respect as being the Rajamata, and she wants her biological child, Bharata, to become the king. So she goes to the Kopagruha, that angry room. So in the palaces back then, there were rooms where you could be angry, you can cry, and you can express love. So different chambers for that. Right? So she would have fallen on the ground with all her ornaments and jewelry, everything scattered on the ground. And Dasharatha comes there and he tries to make offers to Kaikeyi. Just to please Kaikeyi, he asks the following things. I have written that in my book as well. The original Ramayana very interestingly says that. He asks, what do you want, Kaikeyi? Should I put an innocent person behind bars? Or should I release a criminal from the jail? Etc. See, now again you see that Dasharatha has kind of become individualistic here. He just wants to please his wife. And it is okay what happens to his citizens. He does not care about that. Look at the kind of promises that he's trying to make. A criminal, a terrorist being released from behind the bars who can be deadly to the world just to please your wife. So is that what are these the kinds of promises that you make as a king, as a person holding a position of responsibility? Right? Absolutely not. So again, this individualism that you were speaking about, that comes into picture. Just to please her, this one lady, you're ready to put your entire kingdom into trouble. See, this is
So it's
the
not
Ramayana.
new. The individualism is not new.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We see that in the Mahabharata, we see that in Homer's epics, we see that in several other epics of the world. See, in fact, the epics are trying to reflect the characteristic features which are already there in the world. See, several times what happens when we are participative in the world, we are biased by our own mind, our own body. Our own bodies are biased. See, I like to eat certain kinds of food substances. I would like to watch certain kinds of things. So that is the bias that I have developed because of my body, because of my tongue, because of my eyes. So it's very difficult to get an objective perspective of our own lives. So what the epics do is that they pose to us circumstances which every human being may encounter at one or the other point in his life. And when you look at it in a dispassionate manner, you become self-introspective and reflective. And the epics can definitely make you a better human being. It can give you better peace of mind.
Right.
Yeah. So coming back to Dasharatha, we see that just to please Kaikeyi, he goes to any extent. And the demands of Kaikeyi were also quite unreasonable.
I mean, he's already put such a big stake in front of her. And she said, oh, okay, he's offering this, then I can go forward and ask even more.
Right.
That's what I think.
Absolutely. See, again here, he is probably driven by emotions. Under normal circumstances, probably Dasharatha wouldn't have acted this way. Now that tomorrow there is this coronation which is supposed to happen of his eldest son, and his third wife, the junior most wife, is behaving in this manner. So somehow he wants to set it right. See, in urgency of situations, we don't know what we are speaking and how we are reacting. Something similar what we see with Sita.
The pressure of his boon that he gave.
Yeah, absolutely. See, that is again another crucial circumstance. So Kaikeyi had just saved his life. So he's so grateful and so thankful that he says, whatever you want, I'll offer. A king should be very careful before making promises, before making statements. Raja Kalasya Karanam, the Mahabharata declares. A king determines the nature of his kingdom, the nature of his times are determined by the king. When Hitler was in control of power in Germany, we know what was the set of circumstances. Even in India, when the foreigners were in the control of the land, we know what were the set of circumstances here. So, a single person's opinions and decisions can have cascading effects on numerous people, right? So this king's, Dasharatha's decisions or the promises that he made, that broke apart Rama's family in a sense, right? That is why Rama had to go to the forest, then Sita had to get abducted, and then Sita had to again get banished to the kingdom. So this one person's decision has that cascading effect. Right? So that individualistic nature that is seen in several circumstances. Even in Ravana, we see that to a very great extent. Right? So Sita could have stayed back in the kingdom and enjoyed the pleasures of the kingdom. She could have been hand in gloves with Kaikeyi.
And also Lakshmana also could have stayed back.
Lakshmana could have stayed back. See, Lakshmana was also just married.
Correct.
Bharata was also just married. So was Shatrughna. All of them had gotten married almost at the same time. Usually property disputes happen between brothers, between the same family. See, this is what the epics kind of tell us. Let us just switch over for a moment to the Mahabharata. The dispute in property was between the cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And the grandfather had safeguarded the kingdom for the benefit of his own grandchildren. But the grandchildren did not stay happily together. Right? This is what might happen in our families, in our friends' families around us. The parents or the grandparents would have created a lot of wealth so that their children or grandchildren, 2 or 4 or whatever of them, will live happily with the wealth that they have created. But that very wealth will create a dispute in the family. Correct. And they'll have to see their children suffering and they will have to suffer, etc. That is what happened to Bhagavan Shri Krishna as well. He created the entire city of Dwarka from the scratch. He built that entire city but his own clan, his own Yadavas, his own cousins, his own brothers, his own children and grandchildren fought each other and they killed each other right in front of his eyes. For the same set of people, he did all this for this set of people, and that very set of people destroyed the wealth and they killed each other right in front of Krishna's eyes. That is what usually happens. But look at the values here in the Ramayana. Lakshmana admires Rama for what he is. Lakshmana wants to stay with Rama and not with the kingdom. So Rama is doing the Pitruvakya Paripalana. He is being obedient to the promise that his father had made to his third wife. But for Lakshmana, nobody has subjected him to go to the forest, right? It is of his own accord to serve his older brother in whom he sees a greater value. So DVG says, Ganatattva mandakke dina ratri manasotu. Day and night submit yourself to a higher ideal. So when you do that, the smaller problems in your life won't affect you. Hanumantanupadesha, DVG says, that is what we learn from Hanuman's life. But that can be seen in Lakshmana's life, in Bharata's life, etc. Who are the people who complain or crib? When they don't have a higher vision, when they don't have a higher ideal. If you don't have a higher ideal, every small thing in the world around you will start complaining about it, or you'll start demanding. That's again, you'll have the feeling of being victimized or bringing sympathy towards your own self, etc. Right? So in some sense, we see that in Kaikeyi. In some sense, we see that in Ravana. Ravana being very disturbed that Sita is not accepting his proposals. Nobody will feel sympathy about him, but he was feeling that self-sympathy. Right. Again, that lack of higher ideal, I would say.
So, I mean, so many things have come out of all the explanation that you give based on the stories and all that, right? The takeaways that I can infer is the difference between being driven by purpose versus being driven by your own profit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Very well put.
Yeah. You are being swayed by narratives for what? Right? You have, unless you don't have a stand on yourself, you are not rooted, then you will get swayed. Right?
Absolutely.
That is, I think that's the lesson that we all can take.
Sure. Very well put.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So it's always about we.
Yes.
Rama fought for we.
Yes.
Put away his wife to the ashram also because of we.
Yes.
Right? Because he wanted the
greater good, the samashti hita.
Yeah.
The greater good versus the individual.
The greater good than, I mean, his Raja Dharma was bigger than his
family dharma.
Family dharma, right? Personal dharma. So that takes a lot to do that. And today's world, if you say something like ideal, this is the ideal king, this is the ideal husband and all that, people don't trust. There is no trust factor. They don't trust that such an ideal person exists. No way. It can't happen, bro. That's what they say. Right.
In fact, you won't believe, the Ramayana opens with this question. Valmiki also had this question. Konvasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharmagnyascha krutagnascha satyavakyo dhrudavratah. All of us have heard of these ideal qualities. But is there anybody in the contemporary world who has these ideal qualities? So that was Valmiki's question as well.
Yes. That's what I mean.
You need a living example.
Exactly.
A living ideal.
Exactly. Right? So that's why probably today's in today's world, you can look up to something like a Ramayana to actually see that there existed, or in concept, there exists such a person. Right. And then you need not have all the religious things and all that, but you can take values out of it.
Correct.
That's what I think is the relevance of it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. You gave a difference between the woke Ramayana and the original Ramayana.
I'm pleased if I have.
Thank you so much.